Hey everyone, Sergio with the Rideshare Guy. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Wheel. Today I'm joined by James, but before he introduces himself, James reached out to me with a specific situation, which I actually mentioned this past week on Show Me the Money Club. Um, the title of this episode should be, Does Uber care about driver safety after the trip is concluded? We know what happens during the trip. We know what could happen. That's why we recommend dash cams, obviously, but that's not the issue today. So, James, with that said, welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. So I live in Vegas and I've been driving here for about 6.5 years now. And I'm hovering around 20,000 trips between the two platforms.
Okay.
Um, and I pretty much drive at night, which Vegas being a 24-hour city, it's pretty easy to kind of pick whatever time of day you want. So I tend to be a night person and I drive pretty much as soon as it's dark, I'm driving basically till it gets night.
Okay. Is this your full-time gig or do you have a job and then you supplementing doing this?
So for now, it is my full time gig.
Okay. So you're a veteran, 6.5 years. Let's talk a little bit about, because we have a big audience actually in Vegas. Let's talk a little bit about the market in general. Let's talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. Give us a little color on what you're seeing, how things have changed since upfront fares, and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a very weird market in a lot of ways. I think mostly because so much of the passenger base is transient, and it just depends what they're here for. So if it's an event with a lot of people from, let's say, Japan, where tipping is rude, you're not going to get a lot of tips. Um, but if you have a lot of big corporate events with people from the U.S., they're not paying out of their pocket for the ride, so tips tend to be better. Also, that makes premium rides happen more often, I've
Yeah.
noticed. Um, so, given that sometimes the population of the residents is outnumbered by the population of people that are here for something, it makes a very different, I think, customer base than you get in most cities.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have the 24-hour aspect where literally you can drive any time of day and it's going to be busy.
Yeah. Have you
Um,
seen a difference in your earnings as far as earnings are concerned? I know you guys have upfront fares and destinations, so have you seen any difference? I mean, obviously, we're not
yeah,
making the money we were making 6 years ago. That's a given. But specifically after upfront fares, now that you know where you're going, which is a huge plus, right? But
right.
have you seen that to be an exchange? Because that's the flavor I'm getting from all the thousands of drivers I speak to. They go,
Yeah,
yeah, we're seeing the destination, but then I'm making less money. It seems like an exchange between seeing the destination of the rider versus making less money.
it is. It's not that it's been a huge difference on the actual fares, but things like Quest, I haven't had a Quest on Uber in months.
Yeah,
And even when I did, it was things like do 60 rides, get $10.
yeah,
So, I mean, it was literally down to about 10 cents a ride in some cases. So that's gone down a lot. We used to get promotions for big events like the EDC Music Festival. 400,000 people come for that. And they used to do things like give us, do 3 rides, get $100. Now, Lyft literally has done nothing, I think, for 3 years. Uber gave us like $10 a ride this year, but after the fact. And it's just like a few days later, we got a couple $100 in our account. And they're like, oh, you did 20 rides. Here's some extra money.
yeah,
New Year's Eve used to be huge for promos. No promos in the last 2 years for sure. Probably three. I can't remember for
yeah. I think our
sure.
crowd, our audience will definitely agree with you. It's, the cuts, the reduction in earnings have not been actually on the fares themselves, but definitely on the incentives front. I see
The
that all
promos.
over the country. And in
Yeah.
some weeks, I mean, incentives used to be used to be 30-40% of my revenue base. And when that's not there and the fares are basically the same, so that shortage has to be made up somewhere. And that comes in driving more hours and taking more risk and more safety issues, right? To make up the same
Yeah.
amount, to make up that shortfall. But you say you are a nighttime driver, so obviously you're dealing with a bunch of drunks. I call those the drunk hours. And in
Yes.
Vegas, it doesn't matter. I think people are drunk 24 hours anyway.
Yeah.
So, um, so Do you have a dash cam? I hope you do.
I use display right.
Oh, yeah. Thumbs up to display right. Do you see that, people? Are you
Yeah.
happy with it?
I'm not happy with the video quality. I've
Yeah.
had a couple of hit and run accidents, and the video quality was not good enough to capture the license plate.
Okay.
So that's been a problem. But other than that, um, I'm pretty happy with it. I like that it uploads to the cloud. I have to say their support people are fantastic.
Yep.
We've got really, really extreme heat here in Vegas, so I've
Yeah.
actually had to have my camera replaced once,
Yeah.
and I've had various problems leading up to that replacement. But the support people have been fantastic. They're responsive, they care, they're nice, they know what they're doing. So I've got
Not
to give
not
a
like
shout out to
the
their support team.
not like the Uber support.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not like Uber support at all.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Um,
to me, I tend to agree with you actually that the quality could be better because there are better quality cameras out there. But as an overall package, like at the end of the day, it sends you, your all your trips videos, the deactivation situation that you can deal with one click, and then
right.
you can, and there are a lot of positives. Yes, but although I have news for you, they're actually improving. They're going to shortly go to 4K. So I think that's going to put this platform on another level. But enough of display, right? So the today's topic is safety of drivers during the trip and safety of drivers after the trip. Um, uh,
Sorry.
okay, you're good.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So the headline that I mean I have a title in mind, but we'll figure that out for the video that's going to go out to the audience is safety of drivers, right? One thing is safety of drivers during the trip is one thing. I mean, we're dealing with many different people going in and out of our cars, but what happens if somebody leaves something in the car and the return of that item, the process of it, and in your case, something extraordinarily peculiar happened. And so I'm going to give you the floor, and I want you to step by step walk us through what you went through.
Yes. So I had done my last drop off at a hotel. It was fairly near my house. And I went home at this time. It's almost 5 in the morning and just getting light. And I got a phone call, which I figured this got to be from, a passenger. So I answered it. I didn't recognize the number. On Lyft, it always comes through and shows Lyft, but on Uber, sometimes I think it's sending through the person's number, or maybe I don't know if it's like an IP phone and it's just a random number that they've got a whole bank of them that they're using. But
Now
for whatever reason, I
let's
didn't
just
recognize it.
let's just take one step back. So was your app off? You just got a straight up phone call, or was it through
Right.
the
My
app?
app was off. I had already signed off for the night, closed Uber, closed Lyft, closed Maximo.
Okay.
Um, and I was already home in bed and I was playing a game on my phone and
Okay.
a call came through, but I didn't recognize the number and I figured it was probably a passenger had left something.
Okay.
So I did answer it and that's exactly what it was. Um, but yeah, I don't know how they got my number. This was definitely an Uber ride. I know on Lyft that it hides your number for sure,
Yeah.
even if you call through the app with the phone part.
Yeah.
It's not like Uber where you have to pick data call or cell call. So this was Uber, and they're like, "Oh, we left our phone. Can you bring it back to us?" And since I live fairly close to where they are, I said, "Okay, fine. I'll drive over there and bring you your phone." So I got out of bed. I drove over to the hotel. I said, "Meet me at the Uber pickup area," which in Vegas, every strip hotel has a specific spot that we're allowed to go. We're not allowed to go anywhere else, or they ban you.
Yeah.
And they yell at you, and they're nasty about it. So I waited for about 10 minutes. They didn't show, so I messaged them, waited a few more minutes, no response to the messages, call, no answer to the call at that number that the call had come in on. So I just said, okay, here's a final text message. I'm leaving. I waited and you didn't come. And then I went back to bed And then I woke up a few hours later to somebody banging on my bedroom window. And it turns out it was the passenger had somehow found my home and was
Right.
literally banging on my bedroom window.
Well, so let's give it a little bit more specifics. I mean, I know the story, but I want our audience to understand what's happening here. So you out of your goodness of your heart, right? First of all, did you also notify Uber through the app that there's somebody left an item?
Oh, yes. So that was a part I forgot. So on my way home from the hotel, I got a call from Uber Lost and Found. And
Okay.
that's literally what comes up in the caller ID. It says Uber Lost and Found.
Yeah.
And it's one of their support people says, "Oh, so and so left their phone in your car. And is it okay if we give them your phone number?" And I said, "Well, no, it's not okay, but they already called me. So clearly they already have it." And I said, "I already went to try to give them the item back to the place that we agreed, and they never showed up."
So this is after
So,
you went home, you were playing your game, they woke you up with the phone call. You went to the hotel that you dropped them off, trying to return the
yes,
phone. On the way back again to your, apartment or home, you received a call from Uber Lost and Found.
right.
Okay.
And then
So,
that call opened a case inside the app as well. So it had a chat going
okay.
saying, here's the customer's number. It was a out of country number, and I don't have international plan on my phone, so I could use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So
but
now you're back home. So do you live in an apartment complex? Do you live in a single
yes,
house? Or,
so
okay.
I live in an apartment complex. It's not access controlled. It's about 10 or 12 buildings. Each one has like 20 apartments in it.
Okay.
And I left their phone in my car, so they didn't find my unit by using the GPS Find My Phone feature.
Yeah.
The only thing that would have gotten them to the complex, but it would not have gotten them to my unit or
Okay.
even
So,
to my
but
building for that
is there,
matter.
is there a garage or something or open parking? Is
It's
that
just an open parking lot.
okay? So on an open parking lot, the phone is in the car, which I think is correct, what you should do. So for everybody that's
Yeah,
going to watch this, there are good tips in here if you have a lost item, is that never take it with you to your actual living space. Leave it always in the car. Obviously don't leave it all over the place, like that in someone's vision, but put it in your glove box to lock it up or whatever. Be as safe as possible with the returned item or that you're going to return, but don't take it on your body. Don't take it with you because that's how they're going to track you with Find My Phone feature or any other feature, right? So you did everything right. You left it in the car, open parking. They could find their phone, track the phone to your car, which is
right,
probably nowhere near your apartment, maybe. I don't know. And
right.
but in this case, they went a step further. When I say they, the people who left the item, they came to your door. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
well, and even creepier to my window. So they're banging on my bedroom window, and this is not. There's no directory. There's no gate phone. There's no way that they would be able to look it up that way. We don't have controlled access, so it's just open buildings, open parking lot, and no directory whatsoever. None of my neighbors know who I am. I've never talked to any of my neighbors, so it's not like they ran into someone in the parking lot and said, "Oh, who's does this car belong to?"
yeah.
So that was really creepy. Like, how did they find my actual unit? There's literally 250 apartments in this complex, and it's about 12 buildings.
Okay.
So
Well, the problem here is manifold, but let's speculate a little bit because I will walk you through the rest of the steps, but what do you think happened? I mean, how do you think these people ended up in front of your bedroom window banging on it at what, in a 7, 8 in the morning now? What is it now?
uh, I think it was later. I think it was early afternoon.
Okay. So a few hours has gone by after you tried to
Yeah,
return the phone and came back home, you got some shut eye, right? And
right.
um I can see how dangerous this could be, right? Number one, I mean, look, anything is possible. You may think it's a burglar and shoot the person. I mean, I don't know what's going on, right? You're just waking up from sleep after working all night. But what is your assumption or what, if you want to speculate, you go ahead. I mean, how do you think these people ended up banging on your bedroom window?
I honestly don't know. I'm obviously there's the internet. They probably somehow looked it up somewhere, but I really don't know. I don't know if maybe they had my because they had my phone number, they were able to do a reverse lookup and find my apartment unit number. I don't know, but
Okay. That's a
with the
possibility.
internet these days and so much of your personal info can be on the
Well,
internet,
I mean,
who
there is
knows?
stuff, there is no, but there is stuff on the internet, but not to that degree. I mean, they always, want to make some money on you. If you want to search somebody, they'll always hide the last four digits or your phone number or your apartment number or house number, unless you pay. I mean, there is services that you pay $50 or whatever, and then they'll give you everything about you. So, um, okay, so the rider that that you dropped off last, who left the phone in the car, is in front of your window. What do you do? Or what is your reaction to that?
So I got dressed and I went outside. They had gone. They were at my car at that point. I went outside and I just got the phone out of my center console and gave it to him. I was like, highly inappropriate. You should never be coming to somebody's home, you know. But I'm not sure how much English they spoke. Um,
Where were they from? Do you know?
I think Japan, but I'm not
Okay.
100% sure,
Okay.
which kind of surprised me because Japanese culture is kind of less like
Intrusive.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, but yeah, they were definitely visiting from out of the
Okay.
country.
Okay. So, well, in Japan, they don't even have Uber, so I'm not even sure. But well, not yet anyway. But so okay, so now you're dressed up. They woke you up from your bed and you gave them the phone. They leave, I'm assuming, right? So take me through what happened after that.
Yeah, I left. So I left because I was uncomfortable that this person was at my house. So I drove away because I didn't want to be around until I was sure that they had had plenty of time to be gone because they were mad and I didn't want to have any confrontations or risk things
They
escalating.
were mad? Why
So
were they mad?
because I had their phone, I
Yeah.
so yeah, I just drove away because I didn't want to risk anything escalating.
Okay.
And I immediately contacted Uber support and I went through the stupid little menu thing in the app
Yeah.
and eventually got somebody on the phone. And that was kind of the regular support people. And once they heard that it was a safety issue, then I got transferred to a agent in the United States.
Okay.
And she took down a report. And that's all she did. She didn't really do anything. She just collected the information. And then I got a canned email from
Okay. So I have those emails which we have shown actually, but for after that call to the safety department, what did you get your money? I mean, there's a $25 lost and found fee, correct?
So it was ended up being 20. Initially, they said no, we're not giving it
Um,
to you because you returned the phone at a place that was convenient for you. And I
What?
emailed them back, and I was like, "Okay, first of all, I tried to return it initially at a place that was convenient for the passenger at their hotel, and that they agreed to, and then they didn't show up. Secondly, convenient for me is not them coming to my house without my permission or my prior knowledge. So I don't think it's unreasonable to expect my fee. And as after I sent that, the fee showed up and they sent the canned message saying you're going to get a fee because you returned an item. So I did end up getting the fee, but I had to actually fight for it. And they tried to say that because it was convenient for me, I didn't get it.
Convenient for you.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, sure. So for everybody that's watching this, please pay attention to this, right? I believe, and very strongly, and I'm going to work on this actually with Uber and whoever is listening at Uber. Once the trip ends, there should not be any possible way for this to happen ever again, ever. Because this could be a stalker, this could be a dangerous person. Them finding James's apartment, banging on his window, bedroom window, is not okay. It's just not okay. Not only is not okay, it's dangerous situation. It could be dangerous for the rider as well, for whoever is showing up. Because look, this could be happening in a lot of states where people carry, and you don't want to go into those steps. Okay, so Uber must end all communication, and it only should be done through the app. Only, not this personal giving phone numbers, addresses, and whatever not. So if you have any specific cases like James's, please send me an email, Sergio at therideshareguy.com. So, all right, so now they have their phone. You are upset, obviously, and then a day later, probably you got your $20.
Yes, about a day later. I and the message that they sent me, it makes me mad because of how little they want to do about it. If they have a problem with the driver, they deactivate you.
Well,
But with this passenger, I emailed and I said, are you at least going to tell the passenger it's not appropriate to do this? They said, no, we don't do that. We just take the report and file the information. And they said, but we will minimize the chances that you get matched with that person again. And I was like, that's how weak it is. You're just going to minimize the chances.
not
So you're
even
not even
outright.
saying I won't get,
Yeah.
you're not even saying that they're blocked from matching with me. You're just going to minimize the chances. So what, it gets busy, not enough drivers, then you're just going to do it. Like, that's how that sounds to me. I don't know.
It exactly sounds like that. It exactly sounds like that. So did you, by the way, did they give you like a 1 star or something, or did they ding you?
I don't think so. I don't really pay a lot of attention to my Uber rating. I,
Okay.
I would, my acceptance rate and cancellation rate are so bad that I'm not going to get any status or anything.
Okay.
So I don't really pay any attention to my Uber rating.
Okay. All right. Well, so I hope people watch this and pass this along and learn from it. And specifically, you know who I'm talking to at Uber. This is a no-no. This is the biggest red flag I've heard for a while. Yes, people are drunk. Yes, people are not responsible. Yes, people are leaving stuff behind all the time. This is not onto the driver. This is not it. This is not how you handle this. I think Lyft does a better job when with Lost and Found than Uber does. But passing along a driver's phone number, and like James said, he said, no, do not pass on my number. I've had people leave items before. I say the same thing. No, give me their number. I'll get in touch with them. Okay. But obviously, not only they did that before you even didn't give him the permission because they called you. Um, and they showed up in front of your bedroom window. That's just nuts. Just nuts. So, well, give our audience some, advice in closing. I mean, I know you have
Yeah,
a
I did want
horrible.
to say one other thing about this because I've learned in Vegas kind of the hard way that if you know ahead of time that somebody is possibly going to cause you difficulty, you may want to go ahead and cancel. And I know, Sergio, your rule is kind of like once you commit, you're going to finish the ride.
Yeah.
But like here in Vegas, because for example, we have the specific pickup places we can pick people up at these big hotel casinos. Sometimes people will call and they'll be mad and they'll say, "You're in the wrong place. I'm over by the taxis. You need to pick me up by the taxis."
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're just cussing you out and they're mad. And that's a 1 star waiting to happen.
Yeah.
And it's not, to me, that's not worth risking. So I just cancel.
Yeah.
And this particular passenger had been extremely pushy at the beginning. They wanted to put 7 people in my car, and I put my foot down and said, absolutely not. I'm not taking 7 people. We went in circles for a while, and eventually they agreed to split their group up into 2 cars. But I probably should have canceled at that point
Yep.
because I already know my rule. But I was hurting for money. It was the end of the night, and it was like a $17 ride, which in Vegas is huge,
Yeah.
especially for it was only like for 5 minutes. Plus, it was going to be like a quarter of a mile from my house drop off.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go home. So I was tempted and I shouldn't have been. So that'd be another piece of advice.
Yeah.
Don't be tempted by the money, even if it seems like a really juicy ride. If you've already had a bad experience with this person, maybe it's best to cut your losses and cancel.
Yeah, that's
Um,
great advice. I mean, I can't say, well, my rule is if I accept a trip, I'm going to commit doing it. But that your rules would definitely apply if I was in a city like Vegas, for sure. I would see they will just see nothing but my tailpipes when I see that kind of stuff happening. So, yeah, I mean, this is great advice, James. Seriously. And you're a veteran, and no amount of money is worth your safety. Period. I cannot
Uh,
emphasize that strong enough.
yeah, absolutely. And I would also say, because if I were a female, I would be very worried about creepy guys, um, maybe even deliberately leaving a phone in my car to pull
Yeah,
this kind of stuff.
yeah,
So another thing I would say is at the end of the night, check your car before you go home. And if you find a phone in your car, maybe deal with it before going to bed, because um, they can find you, obviously, if
yeah.
you have
Well,
that
obviously
phone.
they can. They can show up in front of your bedroom window, but the
Yeah,
I leave with one of my tips is that we always say this. My tip was always when I'm driving at night. Even if I got a stack request, right? I drop somebody off. I'll find a place to park for a quick 10 seconds. That's all it takes. All this could be solved. What I'll do is I'll turn the lights on in the cabin, look behind me. Sometimes, the phone is in the cracks between two seats or under,
yeah.
whatever. But I always, after a few of these, I've now just go, okay, I'm gonna take 15 seconds, literally 15 seconds after the trip ends. This is so much better to spend that 15 seconds looking for something possibly left behind than go through what you went through. You know what I mean? So, especially in Vegas, for people who are in Vegas, and maybe James will learn from this too, just pull over wherever you can, just take a quick look, because to return that item right then and there is a lot better than what you went through.
Yeah.
Yep. So I look, man, I want you to be safe. Obviously, you're doing all the right things. You're a veteran. I stay healthy, be safe. I appreciate you doing this and learn from James, people. And Uber, this is the red flag of red flags. I know you're gonna come back to me and say all kinds of hocus pocus. They're gonna say, well, we never give the blah 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 the rider the driver. I'm like, listen, how did these people end up in front of the guy's bedroom window? How? You tell me, Uber. You tell me. Okay. So with that said, I'm gonna end it here. Much appreciated. You be safe, please. Keep in
Thank you so
touch,
much.
and we'll see you around.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for watching this episode of Behind the Wheel on the Rideshare Guy. We've been doing these interviews for the past 6 months with very successful drivers from different cities around the nation. Click here for another episode. Make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications for other episodes of Behind the Wheel as well as amazing content on our channel.